many know the history of this painting on our side wall of the chapel? Yeah, I see a few hands up. This is an extraordinary piece in my mind. A number of years ago, Reverend Sky St. John made a request to the artist Michael Powell, who's one of our exhibitors today, and asked Michael if he could create a painting demonstrating his unique skill at expressing light in nature. And would Michael allow something to happen that had never been done before, which is to film and talk about his process of creativity while he was creating the painting. And this is the result of that request to Sky St. John. And then Michael gifted it to our church. And it has hung here, a long time now. And we are grateful for its presence. And we're grateful for the talent that created it. Yesterday, when several of us were here on the campus arranging our materials for the sale, those of us who were in the garden room exhibiting, well, Michael and I finished really quickly, and Jerry and Arabella and Danny DeCastro, are another artist who's offering a number of paintings, they were busy doing their arranging, and Michael and I were sitting and supervising. And we were having this interesting discussion, all of us, about what and how does creativity and art manifest. And Michael was sharing that a number of years ago in his younger portion of his career, he thought of himself as the vessel, as the vehicle through which this inspiration, this creative energy flowed from God, from Spirit, from whatever creative activity out there that came through him so that he was enabled to put it on the canvas. Michael and I have both matured in our understanding of this consciousness as the vessel from which I receive information in me and then I exhibit it outward. We've evolved into an understanding, which is the core of Unity teachings, that everything already exists in the heart of your being. Everything. Now, I have demonstrated to myself in my life with a sister-in-law who also did oil painting, and she tried to teach me how to do that particular art. I have demonstrated to myself that that's not a very active skill in me presently. There are lots of things I don't have facility at, but I do know that if I really wanted to learn something, I am absolutely capable. Absolutely capable. I was happy for the physicist's husband who managed all the geometry required in my quilting work, that I didn't have to know that. And he would say, I would happily tutor you. No, I'll just bring my little problem to you. You'll sketch it out and I'm happy. Thank you so much. Because what I wanted to do was I wanted to play in the creativity of quilt making and textile art. Einstein said that creativity is intelligence having fun. Isn't that a great thought? Now, for all of us who do anything expressive, for me, that's a large part of it. I am having fun, even when I make a oops or mistake or something that I'm not clear about. I just set it aside and then let it talk to me. Let the spirit of this piece manifest itself, because the talent, the knowing, the inspiration is already within me. I am the active creator with spirit of that which I create. And believe me, that covers sermons, especially when you're invited on Thursday to give the talk on Sunday. Or you're sitting over there waiting for a video to play and Sean taps at the window and said, you go do it because the video's not working. Ministers know that game really well. Or you're a poet, an author, and you put pen to paper or fingers to keyboard, whatever is your medium. How many of you like to create in the kitchen? Any fellow chefs out here? Yes, absolutely. I've tasted your tuna salad. It's one of the best, Michael. Whatever is our medium, we experience the power of Spirit moving through us as we create. And I am so grateful that from a young age, my parents encouraged whatever wild-haired idea I wanted to have about being an artist or a craftsperson. They supported that. And so, I knit, I can crochet, I sew, not because my mother taught me, but because there was junior high school economics, and my dad bought the sewing machine. I do tend to go a bit overboard sometimes. There was a period in my life when I owned 7 sewing machines, because why would you just have one? I mean, artists, do you only have one brush, really? Yeah. Does a woodworker only have one screwdriver, one file, one saw? No. We have lots available to us. Maybe that's necessary for the process of creating, but we certainly have the divine tool of creativity already within us to exhibit in whatever way we each uniquely choose. My sister-in-law used to say that she didn't have a creative bone in her body. I think what she meant is she couldn't sculpt or work with clay. She couldn't paint or create photographs. But she created a home and a family life that raised 2 remarkable youngsters into adults that I love and admire, who have also gone on to raise families of centered and serving people in this world. Creativity, to be a parent, let me tell you, as one who only inherited a teenager, whatever the medium, we can tap into the creative source that is God already present in us. This ties into what I mentioned as Unity's core principle. We say God is omnipresent, everywhere present. That word is lofty, but what that statement truly means, if Spirit exists, and Spirit is an energy that is everywhere, it has the quality that it is everywhere, in every moment, all the time, in every spot. There is no place where God is not, we have often said in Unity. Eric Butterworth calls this principle unitivity. And he acknowledges that he drew on an early New Thought writer, a British gentleman, Judge Thomas Troward, who identified this idea that the principle of God is non-local, my late physicist husband would have said. It is everywhere present, all the time. There is no moment, no space, no time where God, the active Spirit of God, is not working. And by the way, that means in each of us. When I get into a space of I think I can't, or it's frustrating and I want to throw something aside, I remind myself, God in me, God as me, is capable to do this work, this assignment, because it wouldn't come to me if it didn't arrive in a divine assignment, a divine appointment. A call from my heart if it's to create something to be shared into the world. Every one of us is a co-creator, and we choose our unique expression of how that will take place. Sometimes we are recombining the elements that are at hand into something new. We are collaborating together with others to create something larger. This Sunday service, every Sunday morning, is a collaboration with Spirit, calling forth the hearts that are here to create this experience. And you are also a heart called forth to co-create in this experience that we were having. So it is a joy to see you all standing and dancing to the energized music, to be letting your heart swell to the ballads, to the prayerful lyrics. I know some often come to us afterwards and say, a song will bring you to tears. Skill at the keyboard can make my spine shiver up and down. We all have gifts to share. We all are engaged in the creative process, and it is prayerful, as Reverend Tim's title suggests, art as prayer. The experience of being in that creative process, you know when you were in the flow and you were calling on that energy innate in you that is God, that is spirit, that is inspiration, and your creativity stirred from your heart moving outward. There's a prayer practice called Lectio Divina. Are you familiar with it? It's sacred reading, meditative reading, divine reading. You take a scripture passage or some other spiritual passage, small, doesn't have to be large, and just focus on that. Read the passage, let it speak to you. See, feel, and see what response the passage has. Read it, and get centered in those words, and then hold some silence. Read it again, and take it in a new and different way with this reading. Experience those words in your body. Let them land in a mystical experience. Be silent and rest. Read it again and see what your heart speaks to you, what God speaks to you through this passage, through this reading that has not arisen in your knowing before. There's also a practice called Visio Divina, seeing with the eyes of your heart as prayer. And so you would choose an image, maybe a stained glass. Anybody else grow up in a church that had beautiful stained glass? And do you remember the light scattered around the pews, on the floor, on the walls? How do you think a 5-year-old entertains herself in a whole church service? Watching the light move in the space. Yeah. Or choose an art piece from one of the masters. Choose an image outside your door, the beauty of nature. And if you don't have an image at your fingertips, on your computer, on your phone, in a book in your home, call something to mind and hold that visualization and engage in that same process. Select that image and just be present to it. Take it in. Let your heart experience it, not just your eyes, but the eyes of your heart. And then be silent for a moment or two. Let it speak through you. And then ask yourself, what am I feeling as I look at this image? Let that arise within you. A feeling. Where do these feelings center in your body? Look at the image again. Take it all in, wholly, completely. And ask to be centered in that divine creation. And listen. Listen with your heart to what this image would speak to you. Allow it to percolate in you, as you, through you. Take it in again. And ask God, ask the Spirit of God within you, because that's where God resides, within you, within me. Ask what wisdom what knowledge, what understanding wants to arise in this particular moment. Let that speak out loud in your heart. And close your eyes and rest. Rest in what has come to you. Rest in the presence of God. Rest in the spirit of this divine creation that you have chosen to contemplate in this moment. Beauty is everywhere around us, yes? It only requires us to be aware, to take it in, to recognize it. And beauty is entirely in the eye of the beholder. What I see as lovely and gorgeous and inspiring may not stimulate someone else or anybody else. But that's good, that we each appreciate that which stirs within us the awareness of the divine, the holy and sacred that is present, just as God is, everywhere, at every point, at every moment, all the time. All the time. Where we often get stuck in our spiritual understanding is we imagine that God, that spirit, that the creative energy of the universe is out there somewhere. And we are always looking for it in the next book. Trust me, I have the collection. In the next workshop, I've taken a lot of them. In the next sermon that I'm present for on Sunday morning. In the next voice of wisdom that comes to me. And yes, all of those are sources through which Spirit can speak to us. But it only resonates because the signal already exists within us. You can only resonate with that which you recognize, that you recognize, you again put in your mind, and better yet, move it down to your heart. Because there's where the power of God is active in you and can be active flowing from you into the greater world, into the influence that each of us has in the world as a divine co-creator with God. We have a stained glass here in our chapel. Kathy, could you raise the screen for me, please? I know not everybody can see it, so I invite you to come take a close look afterwards. It is full of the symbolism of this church. It was commissioned by a local stained glass artist for this chapel, obviously. And it speaks to our locale. It speaks to our understanding of God, full of symbolism. For those who can see it, shout out some of the symbols you recognize in that stained glass. A kukui nut. Something else? Diamond head. Hibiscus. Somebody noticed the cross. Thank you, X. More people have said to me in the decade and more that I've been around this church, you know, Unity doesn't have a cross. And I'll bring them in here, walk them right to the front of the chapel and say, really? You've missed it, I think. It is subtle. Because the traditional imagery of the cross is not where we live in unity as our expression of practical Christianity. The cross is taken a traditional meaning of being that energy of the end of the crucifixion. What we understand the cross to symbolize in unity is the vertical part is that channel of spirit moving in me. And think of that cross piece right at your heart space. It intersects the human that you are, this package of full gifts from God, creativity and inspiration and knowledge and wisdom, all contained here. We really don't have to seek outside of us for that which we need. Or we need to activate the inside of us so that we can acquire that which might be needed outside. But don't forget that inside part, that the empowerment of God is right here, and we invite it to come to life in whatever we are engaging in all of our life. In all of our life. It is said that Michelangelo said that the art already existed in the block of marble. And the only thing he was called to do was chip away anything that wasn't the David. To chisel away anything that wasn't the Pietà. Mary holding Jesus. Whatever you are tackling, the seed of it already exists within you. And it is simply your divine calling to bring something, anything, everything to life through you as you co-create with God. May you stir that creativity in you by immersing yourself in the beauty and all of its many expressions around you. Seek it out. Nourish your soul with the beauty of life, the beauty of nature, the beauty of God. I'll never write songs, but I joyously and enthusiastically sing them. You may have noticed never on microphone, my voice is no longer microphone ready, but I love to sing and dance and celebrate the power of Spirit moving in, as, and through me. And we invite that celebration of life, of beauty, of joy, of God itself through each one of us manifest. We celebrate that here in this community. So what quality of light might inspire you in this beautiful painting or any other? What symbol or quality of color may call to your heart from our stained glass? Let's practice, shall we? Center with me, taking a deep breath. And now choose an image, perhaps the painting, which is called Polly, in light and mist, perhaps our beautiful stained glass, perhaps closing your eyes and calling a beautiful image to your mind that you can hold for a minute or so. Now, what is speaking to you from that image? As you take it in visually, see with the eyes of your heart in this moment. Open yourself to the voice of Spirit within you that is speaking to you through this image. Allow that movement of God to speak to your heart, to open your mind to new ideas, to inspire your next great creation. Let this presence of God speak in your heart as we rest in the silence. Allow the Spirit of God to stir your mana, your spiritual power for your next divine creation. And so it is. Thank you, God.